Alrighty, it's Tuesday again.
It is, yes. And today's Tip Tuesday, we're going to be going through potting up plants with Farina, with trying hard not to touch the top of the plant or the rosette to ruin the Farina. So the Farina is actually, so you won't find it on every single plant, but these ones you definitely will. So this is Echeveria canty, you've got Echeveria Mexican Giant, Echeveria Cubic Frost, and Echeveria Lowy. So, but before we go any further, make sure you like, subscribe to our channel, hit the little notification button as well, and any future videos that we do, you'll get notified when we upload them. So the Farina is used as kind of like a sunscreen. So it's a powder that sits on the top of the leaf, and it just protects it from the sun really. So, and it can easily be rubbed off by touching it. So that can be through with your hands, someone brushing up against it, even spraying them. So if you're trying to treat them from something, even the spraying can mark them, and even rain sometimes too.
Children.
So, yeah. Hey?
Children,
yes.
love to rub it off.
They can. Yeah. So sometimes if you're a bit worried about overwatering, if you've got them protected undercover, so they're not actually going to get water from the rain, sometimes it's just easier to bottom water them, and that way, if you want them to be almost perfect, you can just bottom water them and avoid watering on the top there. So, but yeah, up to you really. But so I'm going to show you the best way that I find with potting them up into the next size without trying my best to avoid ruining the Farina on top of the plant there. So I'm going to do Echeveria Lowy and I'll do Cubic Frost as well. So because you've got two different structured plants there. So remember what I was saying, with potting them up, you want to gradually increase the size of the pots with the plants there, because if I was to put this, so this is only a 7 centimeter pot. If I was to go and put it in, say, a 270 mil or even a 140 mil, it's too big for the plant, because the root system will only be able to take in so much moisture. If there's a lot of moisture from a lot of rain that hits, or the potting mix absorbs it, then it's going to take a lot longer for that potting mix to dry up. So best to gradually increase it. I usually just go with, the pot that it's already in, and so this is 7 centimeter. I don't have an 8 centimeter pot, so I'd put it in a 9 centimeter pot. That's the next size up there. And then you've got this Cubic Frost in a 9 centimeter pot. I'll put it in a 10 centimeter pot and just gradually increase it. Yeah. So with the Lowy, the safest way, you are going to rub the Farina off, but it's always good to do it on the bottom side of the plant, because you're not really going to see the bottom much at all. You're only really going to see the top of the plant. So all I'm going to do is just grab my thumb and my index finger, and you can tip it over if you want to, and I'm just going to squeeze the pot just so that way it's easier to move. And there we go. I'm just going to pull it out just like that, and I'm not really touching the top of the plant, so it still stays nice and powdered.
I was going to say Farina-ish or something.
Farina-ish. Yep. So I'm going to put it in this 9 centimeter pot. So it's probably good to kind of prep your pot before you actually take it out of the pot, and that's pretty much a good.
So while it's out, would that be a good time to take off any dead leaves or so?
Yes, you can do that as well. That's right. So just be careful. It's actually really difficult, especially with the Farina. So sometimes you might find tweezers might be easier than, say, fingers. Like mine are a little bit chunky there, so it might be a bit difficult to actually get there. See, I'm already rubbing some of the Farina on the underside of the leaf. So sometimes tweezers, because they're really small, you can get in there easier.
Will the Farina come back once you've rubbed it?
If you have rubbed it off, there's a higher chance that it won't come back there. So especially like on your Lowy, once it's marked, it kind of stays like that. Very rarely will they actually produce more Farina there. So you kind of have to wait for the plant to grow out of it, which is a shame. So I'm just going to sit it in there, and it's much easier if you're doing it in a smaller pot. When you go into pot size like the canty here, it's a lot more challenging. You might actually need another person to give you a hand with it if you really don't want that Farina to. Move that out of the way, and then all I'm going to do then is give it a tap. This is really more for if you've got them in pots. If you've got them in the ground, then you don't really have to worry about touching Farina. And there you go. So Lowy just naturally don't like a lot of water at all. So yeah, you kind of want them to be very dry plants. Compared to your other Echeveria there, they just tend to turn to mush really quickly. So yeah, be very careful with that one. So you saw with the Lowy, I just grabbed it from the undersides of the leaf. With this cubic frost, see it's already got a bit of a stem there, just there. So I can actually get my fingers right in there, kind of pinch the stem with my fingers, and I can actually hold that without touching the top of the leaf there. So I'm just going to, it's a bit awkward here, so I'm gonna, without moving too much. So see, I've grabbed it there. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yep.
Like you're holding hands with it.
That's it, and then bang, straight like that. Easy. And then same as this one. You don't need a lot of potting mix on the bottom of it. And yeah, then you just set it off. Make sure you remove all the dead leaves. That's important, so to allow good ventilation into the plant, and that'll just help it to dry out too.
So those pups, because I know someone will ask, are those pups big enough to come off? Would you say?
These are, yep. That one's probably a little bit too small yet, but these ones here are perfect size. So I would take them off. Yep. So you can just use scissors to knock them off, secateurs. Sometimes you can just use your fingers, so that's easier. And yeah, the same thing. Then we're just gonna, you know, just put the potting mix in around. Oh, almost touched the top of the plant. See, forgot what I was doing for a second. And I'm just tapping it so that it fills every little nook and cranny in there. And then just give it a bit of a tap to help with a little bit of compaction.
Got a root dangler on this side.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's a good start there. If we nip that that pup off there, it's already about to go crazy. Yep, just there. And that's it really. So with the Mexican Giant, I'd do this exactly the same thing as the Lowy there. Just kind of grab it on the sides, underneath the leaf of the plant, and just pull that as well. With the Canty, I'm not actually going to do it because I've potted them, when did I do it? In autumn, so it wouldn't have actually rooted out completely. But I would remove all the dead leaves. So Canty kind of takes a little, through winter, it actually doesn't look very attractive. You start seeing all these dead tips on the undersides of the leaf, and once it wakes up, it'll eventually grow out of it. So through winter, Canty's not, I wouldn't say a massively attractive plant, but when it is growing, it is beautiful when you don't have those dead tips. So yeah, same thing, I would just remove all those dead leaves, and pretty much the same as the cubic frost. So you start to see that there's a stem underneath the plant, underneath all these dead leaves. And the same thing, I would just go in, kind of pinch it with my fingers, and then just same thing, just tip it upside down. If it is a plant that's quite root bound in there, and you tip it upside down, all I do then is, if I can grab it and do it. So we'll say this one.
One you prepared earlier?
Yeah. So this one here, all I would do then is just tip it upside down and just give it a little bit of a tap. Tap around and boom, straight out, easy. That's another technique to get them out easy, especially if they're quite root bound in there. And that's it really. Yep, very easy. Hopefully you find that helpful, those techniques, and they do help you when you're coming to, well, now is kind of the time as they're starting to, well, they are waking up, to start repotting. So gradually, remember, increase the pot size. That way the root system gradually gets bigger and bigger. You don't want to go too big of a pot, because that mixture, the moisture will stay in the mix a lot longer. Can't speak. And it'll take, yeah, so it'll take a lot longer for it to dry out. And yeah, if it stays wet for too long, then you can have rotting issues. And that's it. Yeah, have a great week. Any questions, let us know, and I'll get to them as quickly as possible. Hopefully you're enjoying some good spring weather, and we'll catch you the next Tip Tuesday. See yous.